Hey everybody, welcome back to Play with Jalen. I'm your adult next door diving into Nintendo exclusive, sharing gaming, and also Nintendo news with a touch of public health as well. In the bonus, my pup Boo, the pink paws and all, who will also make frequent visits or scratches at the doors because the moment I had to close it for her, will also be appearing within this channel. So let's chill, chat, and play. So I've had the Switch 2 for about 48 hours or so and probably only gotten to probably play it for at least 24, which if you know me, that is so unlike me as a huge gamer myself. But today I really want to dive into what are things you should know about the Switch 2 that I've been able to find out as I've tinkered around with it, so that way you can decide whether or not it's time for you to buy one or just understand how to use it better if you already have it. So first off, we're going to talk about how to keep your battery healthy with these very easy tips. So many gamers know that battery optimization is so key. So we're going to first cover how do you optimize that, but also display your battery itself. So with the Switch 2, you're actually able now to limit your charging to around 90%, so that way you can extend your overall battery lifespan itself. In order to do this, we're going to go into the settings as you see here, and then after that we're going to activate stop charging around 90%. We're going to scroll all the way down. Where is this thing? I just had it. Here we are. We're going to come into these settings where you see system battery here, and then from there we're able to hit stop charging around 90%. This will make sure that your battery stays optimized, and that way you can make sure that your Switch 2 lifespan lasts just a little bit longer. Lord knows that I was low-key killing my Switch 2 battery as I always kept it on the charger itself. But then you're also now able to display our system battery percentage as well. So once this is toggled on, you're able to go back into your main screen by hitting the home button, and then from there you can see your battery percentage itself. Next up, we're going to be talking about the high dynamic range, also known as HDR calibration, which will then provide you with the best visuals for the Switch. So let's enhance our game by properly calibrating these settings itself. For those who don't know why this is super important, HDR enhances the visuals by making it brighter, deeper darks, but also providing greater detail itself. It was one of the main features that came out with the Switch 2 that people complain about in the Switch 1. I actually had a friend who literally stopped gaming with us because he was so set on, this looks like I'm playing a blocked out Lego style game, when in reality he understood from seeing other consoles that it was time for us to really step our game up, and that's exactly what they did with the Switch 2. So what we want to do here is navigate back towards our settings, and then we're going to scroll down to the display, and where we will then see a setting where we're able to adjust our HDR. Once you navigate into this, you're going to come to this screen. I already have mine set up, so I'm going to readjust it to where it starts off, just so we can all follow along from there. But essentially, we're going to be adjusting the display onto the pattern on the left. It's not going to be seen. However, the one on the right, well, the one on the left will be seen, but the one on the right will not. So for a new Switch 2 user, it's gonna start off looking a bit like this. To me, these look like suns, so I'm gonna just say we're gonna adjust the suns so that way you can see the one on the right, but the one on the left. So this is gonna be different depending on what type of monitor that you're going to be playing on. For like I mentioned in my first stream, I'm using a smaller monitor, as they say all real gamers do itself. So mine is a bit different from other guys that like you may see online. But for many of us, we're not using one of those super expensive gaming displays and whatnot. I'm using a display that I've had probably for about 5 to 10 years. However, what gets the job done gets the job done. So we're gonna keep pressing this up button until you gradually start seeing it fade away. This may take a few attempts, as I was like, is anything actually changing? But as you slowly start to see, the one on the right is disappearing while keeping a very close eye. This is where it really helps to make sure your eyes are checked out, as it took me a minute to be able to not see this. But ultimately, as you can see, I can see a little bit of the one on my left still, but ultimately I can't see the one on the right now. Once you kind of get that going, you're gonna then hit the next button. From here, this will allow you to then adjust how the brightness will look during your gameplay itself. So you want to be able to fine tune the brightness so that way you can achieve more clear visuals, especially with more rich games such as Mario Kart World. In order to do this, we're gonna press the Y button. And then from there, as we toggle along from left to right, you'll notice that the game darkens, the screen darkens, but it also lights back up. I've realized that about the optimal point for most displays itself, and also double check this online as well, is about right here, thus allowing you to be able to see better and then play better. Next up, we're going to be talking about how do you optimize your HDR mode settings as well. So what this does is really optimizing the gaming visuals by making sure that the HDR mode is set up correctly. Staying in this display screen, we're going to scroll over towards our compatible software only, as you don't really want to have the HDR turned on for games that aren't compatible with it. So games like this are starting off with the current Switch 2 exclusives will be Mario Kart and whatnot, but then you also have a few Switch 2 upgrades such as Zelda Breath of the Wild, as well as Pokemon Violet as well, which have already gone through HDR upgrades. So once you find your HDR output, you'll then be able to click on compatible software only. Thus, making sure that the games that only support HDR will be getting this HDR output, whereas those standard games will be getting SDR, also known as standard dynamic range. Next up, we're going to talk about how do you enhance your audio experience with that more surround sound boost. This will then heighten your audio experience with a more immersive sound itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to audio, and after that we're going to then find setting our audio output source here in order to be linear PCM 5.1. So I'm going to click into this and first toggle to my making sure that my audio outsource is TV, and making sure that my TV sound as well is now set to linear PCM sound. This will ensure that I'm getting that more oomph to my audio experience to really enhance my gaming experience itself. Another really cool feature to know about the Switch 2 is that now there's customizable button mapping for your controller itself. So for those with a pro controller like myself, we are now able to personalize these GL and GR buttons located right here on the back. In order to do this, you're gonna hold your home button during gameplay itself, and then after that, you would scroll down to where you see here. I have Pokemon pulled up now, so I'll just do it on here. You're gonna scroll down here to where you see the GL and GR buttons. From there, you're then able to customize how you want these to be assigned. And then also you can reset them. So I just set mine to be B right now. However, probably not what I want at the moment. So I'm gonna change it back to this, just so mean that way I can make sure that as I switch over to different games, it remains Geo. However, this will come super in handy when you're trying to do more precise actions, such as hitting that drift in Mario Kart World. Next up, we're going to talk about how the Switch 2 is now able to improve your internet connection, but also your online game play as well. So this is going to make sure that you have a faster download, but also a smoother online gaming experience. So what you want to do here is you could connect your Switch to directly towards your router using a built-in Ethernet port in the dock, so that way you can have more faster downloads, but also stable internet connections. But what you can also do is navigate towards your internet settings by coming right back into system settings itself. I feel like most of this video we're going to end up in the settings view, and we're going to navigate over to internet settings. From here, as it searched for my network, or I can at least talk this over, you would then select your Wi-Fi network, and then after that you would go into change the settings. As you can see here, there's a bunch of probably gigantic tech terms that many of us don't really understand, but what we want to focus on here is going to be maximizing the MTU, which is also known as the maximum transmission unit. So the optimal here would be to set it to 1500. It comes at about 1400 at default when you get the Switch. So we're gonna change that bad boy, so that way then we're able to enhance the download speeds, but also improve our online multi-gaming play as well. So if you tune in later, I'll be doing a little Fortnite play with my friends, and what you'll see from there is not only enhanced visuals now, but also a much smoother online gaming experience itself. So next, we're gonna talk about how do you improve the gaming responsiveness by one, activating the game mode automatically. This is also known as automatic low latency mode. In order to do this, we're gonna go right back to the display. Like I said, we're gonna be in display we're gonna be in these settings for a while. So we're gonna scroll back down to the display itself, and then from there we are then going to activate automatic low latency mode under the display settings. So I'm gonna scroll down to it. So mine is already toggled on. As I said, I've been playing with this a bit and wanted to get a little bit of gaming as well. So I went ahead and turned this on, but like I mentioned earlier, activating this will significantly reduce the lag between pressing a controller button and seeing that action actually happen on screen. This is going to be optimal for those who want to play online with their friends, but also competitive gaming as well. So just making sure that you're able to get quick but accurate responses. Next up, we're going to talk about how do you set your Nintendo Switch 2 as your primary console. For those of us who are coming from the Switch 1, we want to make sure that we avoid any just licensing problems by making sure that now my Switch 2 is registered as my primary console. Once again, back into settings, but this time instead of going to display, because I feel like we've been in there this entire time, we're going to navigate down towards our account. Once I got to refine this again. See, I've already done most of this, so a lot of it is kind of like already set up. And maybe I should have ran through this once again before doing this, but I was a little too eager to make sure that I was set up correctly from the get-go. So give me 1 second. In the meantime, the background music that you're hearing, once again, is from the Studio Ghibli YouTube track. So it's about a 10-hour YouTube channel that just plays, I would say, more so relaxing music. I usually play it during work and whatnot in order to make sure that I stay calm, collected, and cool as any messages pop up that could throw me off during the day. But ultimately, I think that it's just a great free playlist if you're looking for something to make sure that you're just still able to think. But also, like, I need some background music in the background usually for whatever I do. So it really helps out with that. So we were hoping that during this time period, this would have been found. Well, maybe because I've already done it, it's already recognized it as is. So instead, I guess we're just gonna skip on to the next topic, which is a really cool feature that I found useful when I was going through the Nintendo eShop. As I started to browse around about, well, what games are out there that are really for me. I think a lot of the feedback when it came to like people not playing the Nintendo Switch was that they didn't really feel as if they were games that were tailored to them. Well, what Nintendo has done, they've thought about that, and now they've provided a suggested for you to make sure that now you're able to discover new games tailored for you. So what you'll do is you'll navigate to your Nintendo eShop, and now we see a new pop-up here called For You, with this really cute, fun message. Really talking about, hey there, looking for something to play? We got Recs for you, and these Recs will actually be updated every single week. So that way you're able to get those recommendations as more and more games come out. And yes, we will be doing Hibiscus a Fortnite stream getting started out really soon, which I've been loving the new season itself. And I dropped into my first game with one of my friends who you'll see playing later tonight. And the first game I got like 20 kills. I feel like the DC update with the Fortnite, it goes crazy. I'm just trying to tell y'all. So if you haven't tapped into it yet, as long as you're not in a lobby with me and my friends, check it out, because if you join ours, I can't really say you're gonna be making it to the end of the game. The lobby may be better suited as you go and choose out one of the new skins there. Well, we're almost done here, and the last thing that I'm gonna talk about when it comes towards the Nintendo Switch is something that actually kind of made me sad. So I use my Switch One in order to not only game, but I also use it as well to watch the programming such as Hulu and Crunchyroll, and different streaming apps. But as I navigated to watch a bit of anime last night, I got this message talking about they couldn't start the software. So I went and I visited this QR code, which I was playing from my bed last night, so I had to literally get out of bed and walk up to this just to find out that streaming apps such as Hulu and Crunchyroll cannot be used on the Switch 2. So this was a huge bummer, as I'm sure many of us like to use not only the Switch as our device to really entertain ourselves as we're on the go, but I mean, I also like to use it to watch different shows, especially when it came towards streaming apps just like Crunchyroll, because I like the fact that it was just easier to kind of toggle back and forth between the time stamps and skipping the introductions. Not that I don't love a good anime intro theme song, but sometimes I'm like, I'm just trying to move through and get in and out and have that actually be 23 minutes. At the moment, they haven't really announced whether or not they're going to allow for various streaming apps to come back. I actually was reading on Reddit that Nintendo said they're not competing with Sony, or they're not competing with actual Microsoft. Their biggest competition is you being distracted, aka they do not want you doing anything on here but playing games. However, I was also able to find out in that same Reddit thread, as I tell you, if you ever have any type of question, don't go to Google, just go straight to Reddit, because all the answers are truly on there. But from that thread, I was able to find out that although the YouTube app, as you see, is not available at the moment, YouTube has confirmed that it is coming soon. So you should stay updated through the official Nintendo channel, but then also check out the YouTube X account as well, as YouTube is great at keeping us updated when they have any new features which may be coming back towards the Switch. So that's about 10 things besides setting your Switch 2 as your primary console, which you really need to know about the actual Switch 2. But just so you know, the second you log into your Switch 2 and then you transfer your data itself, it's going to prompt you to set it as the primary console. So although you may not have seen that step during this stream, just know that when you get the Switch 2, don't worry about it. It's already going to be preloaded up to prompt you to be like, hey, we know you don't want any licensing issues to take place that could cause you to lose data itself, or have unnecessary prompts when you launch any any games that you already have. So you're covered there, even though I promise to have you covered myself. Well, that's 10 things that you needed to know about the Switch 2. So if you already have one, make sure that you do these things as you want to, I don't know about you, I like to get the best bang out of the buck that I actually spent. But then also, if you're thinking about getting the actual Switch 2, if this didn't convince you to do so just yet, just wait till you watch later when me and my friends are playing Fortnite Switch 2 version, where we're going crazy on there and having a great time. Well, thanks so much for joining Play with Jalen, as on Mondays I will be covering all things related towards Nintendo Switch news, but also gaming news as well. Well, take care and keep gaming going. Look forward to chatting with you guys soon again.